28 players have officially entered the transfer portal for the Auburn Tigers. If you love seeing the plains burn, make sure you get down there and drop a like on today's video. What's going on, Alabama fans? Chris Daughtry back with you guys here on the Alabama Football Report by Chat Sports. First up on today's show, we're going to talk the Auburn Tigers a little bit because their top wide receiver, Cam Coleman, is officially entering the transfer portal after they hired Alex Golesh as their new head coach. Kind of some weird back and forth. I don't really know the exact number right now. On three, has it at 24 players to enter the transfer portal for Auburn. But Taylor Korn, who covers the Tigers for the next round, has the running list right now at 28. Whether it's 24, whether it's 28, it doesn't really matter. Auburn right now is in shambles. It is a complete dumpster fire over there on the plains. And you already have some Alabama players trying to get Cam Coleman to make the trip over to Tuscaloosa. Right here, Red Morgan posted on his Instagram story saying, you know what it is, putting him and Cam Coleman after the Iron Bowl there. Both of these guys played together at Central High School in Phoenix City a couple years ago. So, to start off today's show, we're going to talk about the possibility that Cam Coleman could transfer here to Alabama. Because, look, he was a top recruit coming out of high school a couple of years ago, and he has been the top receiver for Auburn over the past couple of years. 2024, that was a, very bad quarterback situation that Auburn had there. This year stepped up the game a little bit there, but wasn't still necessarily the greatest year at quarterback for Auburn. And, man, could you imagine the 1-2 punch with Cam Coleman and Ryan Williams from that 2024 recruiting class? If you remember as well, a lot of people forget this year. Ryan Williams is supposed to be a freshman in college right now. He, reclassified to that 2024 recruiting class, was committed to Alabama. Nick Saban retires, ends up decommitting from Alabama. Auburn, he was at that Iron Bowl game. He said if Auburn won that game, it was the, Gravedigger game where he was in the Auburn student section, and they said, we're going to rush the field if Auburn wins this game, and he's going to flip his commitment right there on field. Ended up not happening there. But could you imagine if these two were together? Number 3 wide receiver and the number 2 wide receiver from that 2024 recruiting class. The only guy ranked higher than both of these guys was Jeremiah Smith. He ended up going to Ohio State. And when you look at the 2025 stats here for all three of these guys, really Jeremiah Smith is kind of the only one living up to those very, very high expectations. Ryan Williams obviously kind of having a little bit of a down year this year. Cam Coleman still trying to kind of find his way into a good program here in college football. But a lot of Alabama fans right now have their hopes high. I just don't really see it going that way for Alabama. My prediction right now is Alabama probably isn't even going to contact him in the transfer portal. He is simply just going to cost too much for them. Pete Nakos is already reporting right now that Cam Coleman is expected to make around $2 million in the transfer portal. Alabama just doesn't do the whole break the bank for one player type of thing. Whether it's in the transfer portal or for recruits coming out of high school. I mean, Courtney Morgan will probably be able to find 5-6 players minimum who will cost Alabama what Cam Coleman is going to end up getting combined in the transfer portal. They just do not do these bidding war, type of situations. It doesn't really matter if it's a star player or not. And I do want to say this as well. I do not agree with this next take that I keep seeing on social media. When we put the short out earlier about Cam Coleman hitting the transfer portal, I even saw people down in the comment section of that short saying this exact same thing here, that they would rather have Cam Coleman over Ryan Williams. That Alabama should let Ryan Williams go hit the transfer portal and use that money to go get Cam Coleman. This makes absolutely no sense to me. I do not agree with that at all. Has Ryan Williams struggled a little bit this year? Absolutely he has. But to say that you would be willing to dump Ryan Williams to break the bank for a kid who actually picked Auburn over Alabama out of high school, to me, I think that is just absolutely crazy. it doesn't make any sense to me at all. And when you look at the production from both of these two guys as well, in the 2 years combined, Ryan Williams still does have better production than Cam Coleman. Yes, Ryan Williams has had a little bit of a down year this year, but I think a lot of that has to do with, one, his health a little bit, but also just kind of the usage that, Ryan Grubb is kind of the way he has used him so far this season. Now, Pete Nakos did also put out 2 SEC teams to monitor here for Cam Coleman, Texas Longhorns and Texas A&M. I think that makes a lot of sense. Both of those programs are willing to throw a lot of money around. They have a lot of money. So when it comes to Alabama, sure, would it be nice to have Cam Coleman on this team next year? Absolutely, especially if it was paired with Ryan Williams. I just simply do not think that is going to happen. So where do you guys think Cam Coleman will play next season? Let me know what you guys think down at the pinned comment of today's show. Is it going to be Alabama? Is it going to be Texas? Is it going to be Texas A&M? Ohio State, also another team out there that could make a play here for Cam Coleman. Let me know what you guys think down at the pinned comment of today's video. All right, let's kind of switch over here to the recruiting side of things. Rivals has dropped multiple updates this morning on 2027 five-star quarterback Elijah Haven. Now, I do want to say this. It was originally reported/rumored that, Haven was going to make his commitment here in just a couple of days on New Year's Day. But last month, Brett Greenberg of 247 Sports actually did an interview with Haven's father, and they basically said they have no idea where that January 1st date actually came from, and his commitment is probably going to end up coming kind of, more towards the back part of the month, later on in the month. So it's still coming up pretty soon, and Alabama is still one of the top teams here for Elijah Haven. And we're going to talk about what Sam Spiegelman is predicting, along with what Haven's father said about Alabama losing quarterback coach Nick Sheridan here in just a second. But first, we want to give a shout out to the sponsor of our show today. It's Prize Picks. Whether you're starting a new routine or making player picks for the first time, trying something new can be hard, but in life and on Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure playoff matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never stops, and Prize Picks lets you take control. This is what we got cooked up for the Monday night slate of games here, going with Puka Nacua, more than 108.5 receiving yards for him, going with Matthew Stafford as they try to make this push to the playoffs here. 1.5 passing touchdowns for him. And Kirk Cousins, unfortunately, he's just kind of in a rough situation right now with that Atlanta Falcons team. We're going to go with a less than at 225.5 passing yards. A new feature, by the way, on Prize Picks, one of my favorite additions that they've actually made here. Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your player gets off to a hot start, you now have the option to cash out those winnings even if the game or before the game even finishes, And also, one of my favorite other things on Prize Picks is the fact that, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose the flex play, where you get paid even if one of your picks misses. But if you want the biggest payouts, go with the power play. But no matter how you play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. So download the Prize Picks app today and use promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That link is down in the comment section and the description of today's video. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Now, back over to the Elijah Haven conversation here. Like I said, he is the number 2 quarterback in this 2027 recruiting class per the 247 Sports composite rankings. Also, the number 4 player out of the state of Louisiana from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Also, so make note, LSU is probably, going to be a team to monitor here as Lane Kiffin, really begins to recruit there for LSU. 6'5", 215 pounds, won a state championship this past season, was the Gatorade Player of the Year for the state of Louisiana here as a junior, by the way. Now, a lot of these guys, start kind of, working towards getting better for next year, for their senior year. Not Elijah Haven. He's actually playing basketball as well. So another dual sport athlete that Alabama has the chance to, recruit here, getting their 2027 class. This is what Sam Spiegelman of Rivals said about Elijah Haven, saying Elijah Haven is eyeing a decision in the next month after logging multiple trips to Tuscaloosa this fall. Alabama surged to the top of his recruitment. Haven told Rivals his visits to Tuscaloosa were catalysts this past season. Georgia, Florida, LSU, and others have not stopped recruiting the five-star passer as he moves closer towards the finish line. Sam Spiegelman also dropped some predictions on, kind of how he feels this recruitment right now for Elijah Haven is going. Right now, predicting Alabama. There's also a bunch of predictions right now for Alabama. He put that confidence level right now at 65 and said the biggest threat right now was the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, there was also another update as well from Rivals. They did an interview with Elijah Haven's father, and I do think this is notable as well because Alabama is going to lose quarterback coach Nick Sheridan to Michigan State. He's leaving Alabama after the playoff run to go be their new offensive coordinator. So, Nick Sheridan has been a massive piece in terms of recruiting, Keelan Russell this past year, Elijah Haven going into next year. He was really, really close with Elijah Haven. So, his father was kind of asked about, what this is going to, or how this is going to impact the recruitment here. And he said, yes, I would say that it would impact this recruitment. Losing Coach Nick Sheridan to Michigan State was one of the people that Elijah is closest to, but we are close to several other people on campus as well. Courtney Morgan, Jatavius Sanders, Coach DeBoer himself, and Coach Grubb. Now, also kind of talked about just the recruitment in general here, not just Alabama, saying, having said all that, recruitment is wide open with all of the changes, which is why we waited. Figured, there would be a lot of, movement, talking about coaching movement between then and now. And, there are some new players. The Florida staff has ramped up their communication with them, got to them prior and other staffs. Auburn, the exact same way. So we'll see just a little bit of update there on the number 2 quarterback in that 2027 recruiting class as we're, sometime within the next month or so, Elijah Haven will be making his announcement where he will be playing college football. All right, also, Alabama just a couple days away here from the Rose Bowl, taking on number 1 Indiana. And I'll say this as well, there's been a lot of chatter from the Indiana side of things on social media saying that Alabama has absolutely no shot to win this football game. I don't really even understand why we are flying out to California at this point, because it doesn't seem like Alabama really has a chance to win. If you are asking, any of these, talking heads out there, I saw Joel Klatt talking about it. I saw, the guys on Next Round, talking about it as well. They basically saying Alabama doesn't have a shot against this Indiana team. And going into this game, this Alabama team is as healthy as they have been all season long. By the way, the first injury report is going to end up coming out here tonight, so make sure you guys are subscribed as well. But we already got a very, very big injury update the other day from Alabama's practice. Alabama running back Kevin Riley was back at practice after suffering a broken jaw versus Eastern Illinois before the game before that Iron Bowl game, which very well could help Alabama a lot in the run game. He's a change of pace kind of guy. Now, I don't think that means you're going to be taking, or I don't think it should mean anyways, that you're going to be taking carries away from a guy like Daniel Hill. I think they're going to do everything that they can do in their power to get this run game going against Illinois. Kalen DeBoer the other day, like I said, mentioned that this is the healthiest that this Alabama has been since I think he specifically said that Tennessee game. You got, Kevin Riley, obviously back at practice now. Josh Cuevas, Danny Lewis Jr., Jam Miller said the other day he was finally back to 100%. LT Overton, finally back as well. So, we'll see. I don't think injuries are going to be an excuse for this Alabama team if they do end up losing in the Rose Bowl to Illinois. So they're just going to have to put their best foot forward and, may the best team win. But we will be live, by the way, for that game. So make sure you guys hit that sub button.